when I met Russell, this is before Def Jam. He was just then a young promoter doing parties around New York City. And one of the phrases I remember you using was running the track. You talk about running the track. Could you talk about what that was in that era?
It was the time when I was a record promoter, and I would have, my job was to promote black records that were I had an artist Christmas rapping, and so I had my record and I promoted from the street up. And
that was Curtis Blow you saw.
Curtis Blow had a record called Christmas Rapping. And the way to get the record hot was in the street, which hasn't changed any. But it was shocking to Polygram Records, who ended up buying the record, that had built so much heat from the streets. And it was because we would work the full gamut of clubs, from the punk rock clubs downtown to the Fever on the South Bronx, all of the in between, from the punk rock to the commercial black clubs to the
You started in the Bronx. You would start in the Bronx and work your way down, as I remember.
Sometimes, and sometimes I start early, hit the early after hours at Danceteria and work my way up.
So
then I come back down.
so they were like, we're talking about in the Bronx. It would be the Disco Fever up in the South Bronx.
The Fever and
Harlem International.
Yeah, but before, even uptown further than that was
Black Door.
No, Black Door too. That's after hours. That's at 8 in the morning. No, but the 371. 371 in the Bronx. So there was that whole.
I want to get a picture. So you would go from there, then you would go down to. Would you go to Haraz or?
Let me go to Justine's and Leviticus.
For the black clubs in Midtown Manhattan.
Yeah, they didn't let us in much. There was a lot of them. They were owned by the twins. They had 5 clubs: Pegasus, Justine's, Leviticus. They had
Othello's.
So they had all those clubs. They were, you had to have shoes on and shit. And they didn't like hip hop very much. It's where black men would carry little clutch bags and shit, and they'd have the shoes with no socks on. And we of all the clubs I went to, those are the ones that were most difficult to digest. And, so from the gay discos all the way downtown.
You go to the Garage, Paris Garage?
Garage, the Loft, many of them. Because the thing about the gay discos back then, there was no black music being played on black radio. Black radio had become disco itself. So we in Harlem listened to YMCA by the Village People, or I Love America by Patrick Juvette. This is the shit we had to hear on radio all the time. And so rap itself had been a rebellion. What they built up in the Bronx and in the hoods around the city was a rebellion to the disco music, which is, I guess, every birth of every cultural, and certainly musical renaissance America's had has been a rebellion to what the mainstream promotes. You know, and I think that's probably in all cultural, or most cultural phenomena had that experience. Like, I hate what you people do. Let me do something new. And that's what hip hop was. They reverted back to the old funky beats, whether they were rock and roll or jazz or blues or anything that had a beat to it that was not boom, boom, boom. That was not, Sylvester singing. That's what we really had. So that was our rebellion in hip hop. You have to realize that in New York City, as in some other major cities, there was no black radio. Whatever was funky was playing in the South, and that was what I had to work. I had to work the records that would not play unless they were #1 in America for a long time, and maybe they'd slip on the radio. Black radio played disco. So they didn't play the Gap Band and Cameo. And Cameo had one hit in New York, and you had to hear that shit in the street because black radio had become disco. And disco was this big pop phenomenon, and Frankie Crockett and the guys who were the gatekeepers, all they wanted to do is stand on Larry Levan's shoulder, listen to what gay disco records kind of fit, straddle, chirp. It was the beginning of chirping.
So Larry Levan, for those who don't know, was the famous DJ at the Paris Garage, and he had a tremendous influence on radio programmers in New York and around the country.
And all the, thank you for filling that in, because I would go and know what the fucking place. Larry Levan and Larry Patterson and T. Scott, you had to know, if you were a club promoter, you had to know every gay disco. I don't care how straight you thought you was, your ass had to be up in the gay disco for real. And you had to build best friendships, just to get up in the booth in the Paris Garage, you had to be a record executive of some stature. And so you had to make friends with everybody, which was, was not difficult for me. I was good making friends with people, but it was, for black music, it was like no way to get it played. And to get Larry Levan to play your record, which he finally did on Christmas Eve, and then Frankie Crockett played Christmas rapping on Christmas Eve. By the time he played your record, it was so big in the street. And there was no sympathetic ear at black radio. It was until Larry and that there was a chart that was created. And it was a disco chart. And that disco chart drove the black radio stations, or what would be, it used to be black radio stations. And you'd almost never get on that chart. You know, like I remember Burn Rubber was #1 for 8 weeks.
The Gap band, Burn Rubber.
The Gap band had a record, Burn Rubber. And at 8 weeks #1 on the black music chart, and crossing over a little bit in the pop chart, you know, in the 30s. I mean, significant inroads. And I remember Larry playing the record, and me walking in. Bill Haywood, who was the executive, who the only one who talked to me in the black music department. He was the boss, and I always loved him. God bless him. He would like, give me this straggly nigga. You come here, and he would support me and give me, you know, direction and mentor me. Where the other black executives kind of had a disdain for me because I was not up there, you know. I didn't have the polish that they had.
Let me put a little context in
So anyway, I remember bragging about the fact that I got the Gap band playing in the garage. It was like a celebration. It wasn't like it took you forever. It was like, thank God, I just break out the champagne. You know, it's #1 for 8 weeks, and you finally got to play once, you know, in a club and not on the radio yet. That was a big deal.
Well, you know, what happened with disco is that disco became the golden gate to crossover. At that particular point in the 70s, so many people with black radio, black music were obsessed with crossing over from black audiences to white audiences. And disco was seen as the way to do that. So it began in almost every major urban market. They had a very powerful FM black station. They were obsessed with playing music that would cross over, hoping to bring white listeners to their station and pump up their advertising. So they all tied together.
Yeah, that's true. But it also became that idea, you know, later on evolved to become the #1 stations in all across certainly urban America. Every urban city, there's a churban radio station. There's this integrated station, right? And it was bigger and more powerful and spoke to more people. And it's a good brand building audience. So it was not a bad vision. It just was a bad vision if you were a black music artist and made funky records. I could be in the South Bronx and I play my record. I could be in Harlem and all the clubs in Harlem and Broadway International and Harlem World and Charles Gallery and Small Paradise and play my record. Or I come down to Midtown Manhattan and we don't play rap. You know, I mean, and this is where, you know, would seemingly be a place that might be the starting point, but they didn't play rap because the same reason. It just now, people got old, they realized it's not that bad. Just now. They don't like rap. They don't like the idea. They didn't like, you know, MTV played Run DMC before BET.
Absolutely.
BET, we don't play that. We don't, you know, we're polished here, you know. And they're kind of like leaving the underclass and their voice to the sidelines, but the next best place to play our records was in a punk rock club. It was the Village Voice Critics Poll, and these places, and alternative rock stations, and alternative college stations that helped hip-hop become, so it came from here like this. It never came from the middle, and there was not a mainstream white or pop club, not a mainstream black or polished or R&B club, whatever they were. They were, and we made records, you know, with them in mind as our target. We never used anything to do with them as much as we could. We survived without them.
It seems to me, looking back on it, you know, Sugar Hill in a way could have dominated. They were the first ones. They had a lot of contact.
Well, they all could have dominated. I mean, look at Bobby Robinson and
Enjoy records.
Ray all the Spoonie G stuff and Treacherous 3 stuff. I think he didn't because he didn't have a breakout hit, and he never really, you know, wanted to play the radio game or hire the people to, you know, to pay the radio to play the records, you know, which was part of the business at that time. Probably still is. I don't know. I wouldn't say that. but Sugar Hill, they made the records that was so, you know, they made the R&B records that we didn't like either. In terms of the tracks, I mean, the artists. I mean, I produced all those shows with Grandmaster Flash, where he never played a record like Good Times, and then one day, you know, he was making records. Some of them had some traditional R&B sounds on it, but he was such a genius in terms of what he chose. So I couldn't wait to make records that were free from that. But, you know, her experiences, you know, her people, she had the same kind of experience a lot of R&B people had. You know, we could own their name. We could, you know, some of the experiences were not, they were just what they had experienced. I bet Sylvia made records that many times didn't own her name and had to get paid, you know, a salary and had those experiences, and that's what the Moments got from her, and that's what she gave to a lot of other artists.
Well, their Moments were signed to her label, then they had to become Ray Goodman and Brown, and she took the name The Moments when they left.
Well, that's, you know, it was typical. Disco was only that. can sing all you want, but you don't own this record. So disco was a whole entire industry built on disposable artists. And so the idea of building an artist that had a lasting, stable career was probably never in her radar. You know, and certainly not probably. Rappers Alike was a group of, you know, one guy was a
doorman.
Yeah, they all did different jobs. They weren't. She didn't go get DJ Hollywood and Eddie Chiba and Grandmaster Flash and those artists early. She went and made her own group, which she owned, and it was typical of that mindset. But the idea of a stable, lasting career and a really, you know, investing in the artist and his future, and that was not part of the record industry at the time. Certainly the 12-inch industry, which is what they were in, that business was made of disposable artists.